Welcome to Liberteach Africa Series, a program by African Justice Media. And in this program, we'll be discussing ideas of African development, ideas that can take Africa to the next level. My name is George Justice Kanyihamba, and I'm going to be your host. Liberteach Africa Series, Episode 2. We are going to be discussing with...
Thank you so much. My name is Denis Oscar, the National Coordinator for African Students for Liberty, Uganda.
Denis Oscar, welcome to the Liberteach Africa Series show.
Thank you so much, Mr. George. I'm really grateful, and it's an honor to be part of this discussion.
About the background, what Student for Liberty Africa does, what Student for Liberty Uganda, its work.
I've been part of the movement for 2 years, but I was introduced to libertarian movement 3 years ago. So from then, it has been an interesting journey, a journey of learning, a journey of meeting new people, a journey of engaging with leaders who challenge the status quo and want to see a society better and prosperous. Students for Liberty is an international organization that works with young people to advance the ideas of liberty in their societies and in their communities. In particular, we work with university students and young people who are leaders who want to bridge the gap between the lack of freedom and society, lack of freedom and prosperity in their communities. So, African Students for Liberty has different chapters in different African countries, in over 30 countries, and all these have different chapters with leaders who are doing amazing works in their communities through educating, impacting the communities, and advancing the ideas that we believe in, with upholding the most important perspective, that is freedom. So yeah, students, and for Uganda in particular, we are a group of very many young people who are also much interested in seeing their society prosper. So like I said, I'm the national coordinator. I work with very, very interesting individuals from different universities to advance these ideas. Yeah.
So in Uganda as a country, you are libertarians, right? We see Uganda, this is a policy discussion. Uganda has a lot of policies in relation to economics, politics, and other aspects of life. So what is the libertarian perspective in regards to politics, economics, and you have to give an example of Uganda. How do you see Uganda in all those aspects of life? You could also try to merge it around Africa as a continent, because you were saying that it's for Liberty Africa. Yeah, you could start from there.
Yeah, so the libertarian perspective is a philosophy that upholds the principle of freedom and liberty in the different sectors in society and in the different aspects. Economic freedom, political freedom, academic freedom, social freedom. So we believe in all those perspectives and ideas. We believe that these are ideas and these are perspectives that will enable Africa, will enable Uganda to prosper in the different sectors. Because prosperity does not come with more interjection and laws and policies. Prosperity comes with freedom given, freedom to associate, freedom to explore, freedom to share, freedom to engage, freedom to come up and put out your ability to the society to be able to make yourself better. So in the Ugandan perspective, and as regards to Uganda, the community, the Ugandan community and the political, social and economic is really so much suffocated. It is not to a desired state, because the idea of freedom is to allow people to engage, to allow people to associate, to allow people to be able to expose their abilities and be able to show their potential. But if you're coming up with laws and policies that kind of limit human potential and ability, that is also limiting their freedom, and that will decrease on the production. That will also decrease on the ability for them to shine and make their societies also shine, and their societies and their communities shine. So freedom is the very fundamental perspective as regards to prosperity.
Thank you. So, in relation to Uganda, as I asked you, what is the status? How do you see Uganda? Are we okay? Should we move in a gauge we're moving in, or we need to do something about liberties, about freedom that you're talking about?
In Uganda, the suffocation is really a lot. In
How do you rate that on a scale of 1 to 10?
On a scale of 1 to 10, of course, I'll give it half. It is 5. It is 5. The suffocation is in every sector that you see.
Okay, in what signifies that? What signifies that according to your analysis?
According to my analysis, and for the years I've been in Uganda, I've seen what has happened, and I've seen what is happening, and I've seen what is coming for us. You get? So the different things that we engage in as young people, the different things that we engage in as Africans and as Ugandans, are so much having a stumbling block that don't allow us to.
Okay, let me try to make it so clear. If we are to break them in, you're talking about the things, if we are to break it in sectors, which sectors are being suffocated in Uganda and as a country, and what could be done as youth libertarians, as Students for Liberty Africa, and you as the national coordinator of African Students for Liberty Uganda, what do you think should be done? First of all, talk about the sectors that have been hampered with, and what could be done.
Well, I'll start from the political sector. The political sector, that sector is very, very fundamental as regards to society progress and prosperity, because the politicians and the leaders that we elect into offices, have that political power that they seem to misuse, to get wealth and prosperity. But I believe the political power should be used in a way that benefits everyone in society and benefits the country, makes the country move and progress. So the political sector needs a lot of freedom. It needs a lot of reality, because as someone said, politics is a game, but we need reality in that game. You can't play a game and there's no reality. So we need the reality, and we need the people inclusion. We need to include the people in this politics. We need a politics that is not a politics of game, but is a politics of progress and development. So what we need to do is to educate our people on how to get involved in politics in a way that will support and develop the society, not to engage in a politics that is self-interested. I believe each and every human is selfish. Selfishness and greed is something that is part of every human, and it is good. But how do you use your selfishness to also impact?
Wait a bit. You're talking about selfishness and greed. How is that? How does that signify goodness of an individual? How is selfishness good?
So selfishness is a good in a way that everything starts from a personal perspective. If you're selfish, and if you're greedy for something, you of course would want to go for it. You would want to go and get it, and then you put in every ability and effort to go and get it. If you get it, you will not only be the one gaining value from it, the people around you as well will gain value from it. So the selfishness and greed in the political sector is the other way around. The people are greedy and they want to get for themselves but not for the people around them.
So are you trying to say that Ugandan politicians are selfish?
That is obvious. That is obvious.
So is that selfishness of Ugandan politicians benefiting you as a person, or as Ugandans, or as Africans? Is it helping you? Because you said it's good, selfishness is good.
Yeah.
What are the other sectors besides the political, the political freedom? What are the other sectors that are being hampered with in Uganda, or even in Africa as a continent?
Yeah, of course, the other very, very important and fundamental sector is the economic sector. This is a sector that determines progress and development also in society, because it deals with finances, it deals with people's abilities to prosper in the market, deals with people's ability to prosper in the workforce and in the workplaces. So it is a very, very fundamental perspective, because where there is freedom in the economy, people will have the liberties to engage in the market. People will have the liberties and the freedoms to associate and trade value for value, because in liberty we believe people become better through trading value for value. You trade with me what you value less, and I trade with you what I value more, and in the whole trade process we'll all become better, not through not through limiting one's potential, but through exchanging the values that we all have in order to become better.
So do we have economic freedom as Ugandans?
As Ugandans, we don't have economic freedom. We don't have economic freedom because
on the scale of again 1 to 20, how do you rate the economic freedom in Uganda? Or we totally have nothing?
I'll try to be fair enough. Because I'm a Ugandan. I'll on a scale of 1 to 20, I'll just give it a 10 still, and just give it a half, because so many policies, so many taxes, so many interventions by the political leaders and the state that are in place not to uplift human ability and potential, but to put a stop to human ability and potential. I don't know if you understand what I mean, because there can be policies that are there to help people prosper. There can be policies that are there to help people become better in what they do. Yeah.
Okay, talking about that, I would like to, bring you in a perspective of taxes and how the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development running about can increase the tax base of of the country, where the revenue can be generated from, yet they do not create economic units, but instead we are seeing that Parliament is increasing, Parliament is getting bigger and bigger, and now in the 11th Parliament we are going to be having over 500 MPs, which wasn't there in the 10th Parliament. So what is your analysis, what is your perspective as a libertarian, because I want you to bring it in a libertarian perspective. What is your comment about that? What is your analysis about
that? The taxes and the policies that are there, like I said, are not in place to really help the people, are not in place to help people prosper and develop. The taxes that are in place are there to put a limit to the human potentials and abilities, are there to say you can't get this rich, you have to be moderate. Because you have to look at the state and the government as the sole provider. You have to look at the state and the government as your father to help you become better. But if policies were there, really, that if economic freedom was there, I mean, people would freely engage. People would freely engage in business without those big taxes being put to business. Startup capital. I mean, startup capital tax. I mean, operation tax. There are a lot of taxes that are there that are really draining the people of Uganda, that are really draining the economic sector. Policies that should be in place should be policies that are there to help people and to facilitate trade, not policies to block trade, not policies to put a limit to potential. Policies that are there should be there to facilitate trade and make trade become easier and better, because through trade people become better and prosperous. So the Ugandan economic sector needs so much to focus on building their people's abilities, and also making their people better by putting policies that are free and have an element of freedom in them, not policies that are to object and intervene negatively in the people's lives.
So, in that very juncture, we shall go for a short break and come back in a minute. Welcome back to this show, the Liberteach Africa series. We are with Denis Oscar, the National Coordinator of African Student for Liberty. We are discussing with him libertarianism and its perspective on African development, on Ugandan policies, political policies, economic policies, and other policies. My name is George Justice Kanyehamba, and I'm your host. Let's get back to Denis Oscar. So you were talking about in the last part. You were talking about how the government is actually big. How does that influence or affect our economy as a country? Because even the people are thinking about representation, and is government increasing size is because of people demand, and Uganda is a democracy. So people demand to be represented fairly, and that's how the parliament grows. So as a libertarian, what is your perspective towards that, and what could be the policy alternative to that?
You see, as a country, as Uganda, we don't need a big government to represent 45 million Ugandans. We do not need 420 about MPs to represent 45 Ugandans, 45 million Ugandans. We need strong institutions. We need policies that uphold people's potential, policies that facilitate people's abilities and trade and economic engagement. And we also need elements of freedom of course. We need a limited government. As a libertarian, we believe that a limited government should be government that is limited in number, limited in the size of power, and limited in size and power. The powers that the government uses on its people sometimes is very unnecessary.
So what economic policy alternative strategy that can be given by you as a libertarian to Uganda to enable Uganda to pay its debts? Because for it, it's increasing the tax base, it's increasing the taxes, creating a lot of tax avenues for Ugandans, yet it's suffocating them economically.
Yeah, I believe there's so many taxes, and the increasing of the tax base cannot amount to prosperity and economic progress. Because the more you increase the taxes, the more you suffocate your people, and the more you will deter them from working.
So how are we going to pay back the over 40 trillion debt buddy?
Yeah, of course, if you have an element of freedom in the economy, of course you'll be inviting your people to come up and engage in, your citizens to engage in trade and economic activities, of which in turn money will be coming to Uganda, because if they have the liberty and freedom to trade internationally, cross borders, then of course money will be coming in and getting out in that matter. Then also I believe the size of government should also be reduced. As a libertarian, we believe in limited governments. Limited government is a government where the size of government is not big.
Break and come back in a minute. Welcome back to Liberteach Africa Series, a program by African Justice Media. Dear our viewers, don't forget to subscribe, share, comment, and click the subscription button, thumbs up. So let's get back to our guest today. So he was talking about how the government is actually, the big government is actually affecting the economies. But we shall end that discussion there, and we go to our last discussion, part of discussion today. So what are the policy recommendations that you could give Uganda as a country, even Africa as a continent, you as a libertarian? What are the policy recommendations that could make Africa free?
We need the policy amendment in all our sectors.